So before starting our today's topic, let's quickly recap what we have built so far. So till now, what we have seen, we have created the React app successfully, and we have also created some part of our backend also. And in last video, we have seen that how we can connect our backend to our front end. And also we have created one package named config, and in that config we have seen how we can configure our backend files using codes.config. Now, in this video, we are going to see how we can use the JWT authentication and why it is so useful. So at this point, our application is functional, but there is one concern is that there is a security issue. So even though user can log in the backend, but we are not verifying the request that the coming from the front end. So for this verification of the request, we need the JWT authentication. So now before writing any code, uh, let's start. Before writing the code, let's see what are the dependencies. So as we see, if we have to add any dependencies, then we have to put that if dependency in pom.xml. So now we need one extra library. The first dependency that we need is the Spring Security. So this is the first dependency. So without this, our Spring Security won't work. So let's restart our maven. Okay. After this, let's add our second dependency, JWT. Then we have simply restarted our maven. So make sure you have these two dependencies. So in this dependency, the is group ID tells that this is the maven folder, this is the maven library, and this is the community which has published this library, and the artifact is the name of the library, and this is the particular version, and here the scope. Now we will add our third dependency, then restarting it. Okay, and now the fourth and the last dependency, which is JJWT Jackson. So now it's time to understand the main concept of our video, that is JWT. So before creating any file, let's see what actually the JWT is. So JWT stands for the JSON Web Token. That is the most important concept and commonly used concept in the authentication. So let's see what is the JWT. So basically, we can think JWT is working like as a digital card. So this is a card for the verification of the particular request. So that JWT will consist the username, the role, and the expiry time of the signature. So why was JWT was introduced? So before JWT, when the application are designed, they are designed in this manner that if the request from the client will come, then a particular session was created, and then the details of session is shared with the server, and then server will stores this session in the memory, and it returns then to the client. So in this method, what happens if there are the thousands of users login at the same time? Then there are multiple users. For each user, there is a specific memory was saved for on a server memory. So this may create some memory issues at the server level. Now with JWT, what happens is first the client will send the login credential, user and password. Then login request will go to the server. And in the step two, our server will verify that credential, whether the credentials are correct or not. If it is correct, then the JWT was created, and if it was not correct, then it will return uh, error issue. Then in the next step, the server will responsible to generate a JWT, and it will generate and send to the client. And now the client will store the token that is generated by the server. Now this token is stored on our local storage of our browser, or you can say this is the cookie that we are see in our website. So now every request contains the token. Now if user wants this particular address, then for the authorization, what we need, we have to just need to verify that token. Now the server verification is done in this process that first the incoming request, then authorization header, then it will verify the signature of the token. And if the token is valid, then allow the access, otherwise return. What happens if there are 1,000 users? Then for 1,000 users, what happens is client has to just send the JWT to the server. Now server has to remember just the token, not the details of the user. If and now the server will verify only by using the tokens. Now imagine a website which doesn't have a JWT authentication. So you can log in with your username and password. So this request will be sent to the server, and server will return the response of the login status. Now you open the another page, and now the server is still logging. So it has only now two choices that ask for the password for every time. That means if you have closed that tab, then the logout has happened, and now we need to log in again. So this is inconvenient and insecure. And the second option to avoid this is give the client a token. Means after login, the server gives the client a JWT token that first client will send the request, and then server will return the JWT token to the client. Now for every request, client will send the server first the token, and if the token is correct, then it will allow the access without the again login process. It will directly give access to the inside pages. JWT, the sessions was stored in our server memory. So server has to remember every login user. So this will create a problem. So JWT solve this problem by implementing the token verification method. So now every request will contain the JWT. Now let's see the JWT was created, but what's its actual structure? So it has mainly three parts. The first part consists of the header, then dot, then payload, then signature. Now header will contain the information about the tokens, such as signing algorithm. There are many algorithms. Then the it will contain some payload that will actual data, means in payload there is actual user information like username, user ID or roles. And i- in signature it will store the actual verification data, like it will create some secret key. That key is only recognized by the server and the client only. So signature is working like a unique identity in this JWT. Now let's see how JWT was generated and how we have to pass between the client and the server. Now, when user will enter the username and password, then it will press the login button. Now the login request was sent to the front end. Then front end will send these credentials to the backend. Now backend will verify this credential whether it is correct or not. If they are valid, then the it will generate the JWT and return it. If not, then it will again go back to the again go back to the front end and it will return it was there is a login issue. Now, if it is generated, now after the generation of JWT, server will return it to the front end. Now, as we are using React, right? So our front end means our React will store this JWT means this token. Usually, this token is stored in our local storage or in another secure storage mechanism. So there are main mechanism. In that mechanism, we are not directly selling this token indirectly formed to our cache data. Now it is stored in our front end, but now we have to access it. So the user will access the protect APIs, but it will require to mention a authorization header. So authorization header will look like this. Authorization bearer JWT token. Now it will send to our protected API request that verify this. Then authorization will verify it and request will be generated the response whether it has to allowed or not allowed. Now let's move on our actual coding part. So for that we have to create one package for a security. Now now in this security package we have to create a class for a JWT service. Now the main motto behind creating this file is that this file will create the JWT and generate it and return to the client. So later when the client send the token with a request, this same class will validate that token and check whether it's expired or extract information or further process. Now the flow will look like that. First login request will come, then it will go to the it will go to the auth controller. Then auth controller will go to the JWT service and it will generate the token, validate the token, and extract the information. Now, as this is the service, we have to declare the service. Now we have to write one secret key. So now this is the secret key between our client and the server. For now we are hard coding it, but in real scenario, it is stored in the environment variables or in YAML files. Now after that, we have to for initialization, we have to create Now here we are converting the string of we are converting this string into a secret key object. Uh, that was the library of JJWT. Now it will ensure that it will create a suitable format of the key. This function will ensure that. Now, uh, whenever the user and the password are verified, the auth controller will call this method. So it will generate a JWT containing user information and it will return to its client. So we have to create a method that will generate a token after the user logs in successfully. So for this, we have to write our first method that is a generate token. So now we have write one method for generate tokens. So this is the public means this method can be accessed from any other classes and it will return the string. Okay, then it will contain the user details. Now we are returning the string. Okay, so now JWT builder. So this starts building a new JWT now. So think of it as a creating a blank token to which we will add information step by step. So this has already generated a blank token. Now it will entering the details in that token. Now dot subject. So the subject identifies that uh, who the token belongs to. Now here we have stored the user details. Like we are storing now the username. Now Ethernet. So this will record the exact time. Basically, this will help our server to determine the token age or we can say token timeline. Now dot expiration. Uh, this is used to set the expiration time for the token. Now we have set like that. This is the system dot current time millisecond. So this will be the current time millisecond. Then for the 1 second, 1 minute, and 1 hour. Likewise, we can read the syntax. So now the token will expire after the 1 hour exactly. It will generate it. After the expiration, the user will must log in again or obtain a new token. So the sign with means this sign the JWT using our secret key that the signature ensure that nobody can modify the token without knowing the secret key. If the payload is changed, the signature verification will fail. Now compact. Now this will finalize the JWT and convert it into a compact string that can be sent to the front end. So this will compact it now. So by using this method, we have now generated the token, but this is not enough. Now we have only generated. We have to now verify it. Now before moving our next method, we have to understand what is the claims. So a claim is simply a piece of information that will stored inside the JWT payload. So we can think like as a identity card as a JWT, and it will contain some information like a username. So our claim is that uh, username means give us the that username. So the payload contains the information about the user, and each piece of the information is called as a claim. Likewise, JW2 may store username, user ID, email, role. So these are the claims, right? Like we can claim the username, we can claim the role, we can claim the user ID. So currently we are only saving the username as a subject. So there is no need of any other claim. So here we are only claiming the username. Now now a token was generated. Now we have to extract the subject from the token. Means our token will contain the username. So now we have to extract the username from that token. So for that we need to write one method for extract username. So we have now simply written one method that will take the token and will return only the subject. Now we have to write this method that is extract all claims. So for that we have to write a separate method. Now this method that is extract all claims, this will now verify the JWT signature and will pass the token into the extract claim and it will return it to the caller. Now this will be our private function, and in this we have used a JWT parser. So this will prepare the JWT library to read and uh, verify the token. So now we have to verify with this secret key. This will tell the parcel that you have to verify this key with this secret key. Now, if the token wasn't signed with the key, the verification will fail and throw an exception error. But if it successfully verified, then it will build the parcel with the configuration we have provided. Then this is the parse signed claims. So what? So basically, this method will read the JWT and then verify it and check whether it's properly signed with JWT or not. And then it will pass it to the payload. Now, if the token has been tampered with or is invalid, the parsing will fail. And the get payload is responsible to return the payload of the JWT as a claim object. As a claim object. Now extract the JWT, we can verify it, and now we can claim it. We can now read all the claims from the JWT. Now we will use those claims to check whether the tokens has expired before allowing access to the protected APIs. We have created the method for the checking of the time, but we have to also write one method to check uh, the actual token is valid or not. Now we have created the we have created a method for checking the token expiration, adding one more method called is token valid. So this method will take two parameters. First, the actual token that is received from the client. Then the authentication user details that will be loaded by the Spring Boot, or you can say Spring Security. Now this will return only true or false. That is true for token is valid and false for token is invalid. So to actual check, here first we are extracting the username that was stored inside the JWT. So for extract username, we have created a one method. That method will return the actual username. Now, let's suppose it will return the username. Now the final keyword means this variable cannot be reassigned after the initialization. means it is once declared then declared. Now we are comparing these two parameters. The first is that we are checking that the stored username inside the JWT and the username that is loaded from our database is same or not. If they match, then we are checking the time for the time expiration. And if these both conditions are false, then only the function will return true, otherwise false. For now, we are only storing the username in the JWT, but later we are adding more subjects. Then we will also enhance the is token valid method. So this will handle all the invalid and the malformed tokens gracefully by the catching method of the JWT.